Welcome to the Crawlcast. I'm your host, George Kralzak, and today I'm reacting to the Green Bay Packers 2025 offseason. And if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button like it owes you money. I'll be reacting to their signings, their re-signings, the people they've tendered, and their losses. So their first signing is Aaron Banks, who they signed to a 4-year, $77 million deal. In 2021, he started 0 games. In 2022, he started 16 games. 2023, he started 14 games. And in 2024, he started 13 games. So this is a very interesting one. So what does he do well? So he is a stellar run blocker. He is really good at moving people off their spot. But where he struggles is pass blocking. And he has been quite inconsistent. And this is a big deal for someone who is quite inconsistent. So the big question is, why they sign him? Why do the Packers need a left guard, especially since they have Elton Jenkins? Well, they lost Josh Myers in free agency, which we'll get to later. So this kind of talks about their offensive line, where Matt LaFleur likes being a run-first team, and a run-first coach, and the Packers being a run-first team, and then building the pass off of play action. The Packers really struggled in run blocking the past last year, and really the past couple of years. So this will hopefully help them a lot. And so you may ask, well, who's going to play center? So basically, there's four players on the team that can play center, in my opinion. You have Zach Tom, who can move over there and play center. You have Elton Jenkins, who can move over there and play center. You have Jacob Monk, who is a center, and then you have Sean Ryan, who can move over there center. Because we've seen Zach Tom and Elton Jenkins. We've seen Zach Tom play center a couple of years ago when there was a lot of injuries. Last year, when Josh Myers went down, we saw Elton Jenkins replace him. And then also last year, when both Elton Jenkins and Josh Myers went down, we saw Sean Ryan replace them. So I think what makes the most sense to me is Zach Tom. He is way too valuable at a right tackle. He's going to get a mega contract extension at right tackle, so you can't move him. He's stuck. And then left guard, you're paying Aaron Banks all this money to be a left guard. That's his natural position. That's what he does best. So he's stuck at left guard. So then I think the move that makes the most sense is Elton Jenkins. Put him at center unless Sean Ryan somehow proves he's unbelievably good at center, or Jacob Monk takes a huge step up, which is interesting because Jacob Monk last year in the playoff game, when both Elton Jenkins and Josh Myers went down, they put Sean Ryan at center instead of Jacob Monk. So clearly they do not trust Jacob Monk just yet, but so this is what I would do is have Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan compete for the right guard spot. Zach Tom, he's at left tackle. No touching him, he stays. Or he's at right tackle. No touching him, he stays. Aaron Banks, he's at left guard. No touching him, he stays. I would have Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan compete for the right guard spot. I would have Sean Ryan, Jacob Monk, and Elton Jenkins compete for the center spot. And then I would have Jordan Morgan and Rasheed Walker compete for the left tackle spot. This move also does get me a little bit concerned that it seems like they do not trust or like Jordan Morgan. For whatever reason, he has not shown enough where they felt like they needed to get another guy. Or if Jordan Morgan does show enough, he can be their left tackle of the future. Because it's hard. How much is this fixing an immediate need or fixing a future need? Because both Rasheed Walker and Zach Tom, their contracts are up after this year. So presumably you're going to give Zach Tom the big contract and let Rasheed Walker walk. And so maybe this year we're gonna have the line be all fair, kind of competition. Whoever wins the competition gets it, and then next year Jordan Morgan transitions to left tackle, which opens up the left guard spot. I don't know, because it's all about getting your best five out there. And so again, that's if you force me to say it now, I think Rasheed Walker gets the left tackle spot. I think Aaron Banks gets the left guard spot. Elton Jenkins gets the center spot. Either Jordan Morgan or Sean Ryan get the right guard spot. Because Sean Ryan really, even though he was inconsistent at times, he really showed up and played well at the right guard spot. But Jordan Morgan felt like he really didn't get a chance because he was injured for almost the whole season. And then Zach Tom stays at right tackle. So I think this is definitely an overpay, and it's definitely an interesting move because I definitely think he'll help in the run game. It's just that it's 77 million worth it when you could have used that on corner or on safety, or I'm sorry, on corner or on edge rusher or on wide receiver? Is offensive line the most pressing need? And honestly, I just don't think so. Next, you have Nate Hobbs, who signed a 4-year, $48 million contract. In 2021, he started 16 games, had 74 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 interception. In 2022, he started in 11 games, had 72 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. In 2023, he started in 13 games, had 86 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 interception. And in 2024, he started in 11 games and 49 tackles and 1 interception. So he has proven that he is a very good slot corner and a very solid corner overall. The issue with him is his injury history, where he's only played a full game or a full season one time in his career. And and now you like it's hard to count that because yes, technically it was a full season, but now we're in 17 games instead of 16. So I do think this is a good signing because the corner is by far the Packers' weakest link. Like they have Carrington Valentine, who is a below average corner at best, and then I think Keyshawn Nixon, who's probably an average corner at best. So Nate Hobbs really helps fix there. And then also poses the question, what do they do about Jair Alexander? Yes, Jair Alexander has had a lot of personality issues with the coin toss and maybe having other issues with management and needing to be suspended that one game. But I think the biggest problem with Jair is his contract. He's projected to make $21 million over a year over the next 2 years, and that that is the big problem. That 21 million, a lot of money. But now when you compare his contract to other contracts, it looks less bad because Derek Stingley, 30 million a year. J.C. Horn, 25 million a year. You had uh uh Paulson Odebo signed 18 million a year. You had Carlton Davis, 20 million a year. And so a lot of these corners, who I think a lot of them are not as good as Jair Alexander, all of a sudden are making so much more money than Jair Alexander that Jair's contract looks affordable and looks reasonable. And at this point, because corner is such a weak position for the Green Bay Packers, they need literally anybody. So I think Jair Alexander is definitely worth the risk. I get it. He might not play because he might not be healthy, but I think he is definitely worth the risk, at least contractual money wise. And Nate Hobbs, I do think this is a great addition. Again, corners by far their weakest point, if especially if they trade or release Jair Alexander, they need Nate Hobbs a lot. Next is Mecole Hardman, who signed a 1-year deal. We don't know how much it was financially. So in 2019, he had 26 receptions for 538 yards and 6 touchdowns. In 2020, he had 41 receptions, 560 yards and 4 touchdowns. In 2021, he had 59 receptions, 693 yards and 2 touchdowns. In 2022, he had 25 receptions, 297 yards and 4 touchdowns. In 2023, he had 15 receptions for 124 yards, and in 2024, he had 12 receptions for 90 yards. So here's the thing about him. The Packers need a receiver. So they have 3 receivers that are guaranteed to make the team, and that is Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, and Jaden Reed. And for all intents and purposes, pretend Christian Watson doesn't exist. Pretend he's not on the team next year. Because reports indicate that around week 12 or 13, are at the earliest, if everything goes to plan, is when he'll be back. So that's basically missing the whole season. And again, that's if everything goes to plan. And we've seen with a lot of his injuries, it doesn't go according to plan. So for all intents and purposes, pretend Christian Watson is not on the team. Does Mecole Hardman offer you something on offense? I think he does, because what we've seen previously with Tavon Austin and Tyler Ervin, that Matt LaFleur loves his gadget guys, and I definitely think Mecole Hardman can be one of those gadget guys. Does he offer you like a deep threat availability like Christian Watson? He hasn't really been much of a deep threat in his career, but I do think with his speed, you can potentially try to transition him into that. But overall, as a receiver, will he be a key good receiver? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, probably not. I don't think he's that guy at receiver. Like, look at his past couple of years. Like, the past season that you'd even consider be decent, it's 2021, and at that point, that's over 3 years ago. Because 25 receptions, 297 yards, 4 touchdowns, 15 receptions, 124 yards, that's terrible. 12 receptions, 90 yards, that's terrible. So, but there's one thing that I do think is key that he can provide for the for the Packers, and that's his returning ability. Because Jaden Reed is not a very good punt returner. He has too many fumbling issues and really hasn't had any big or good punt returns. And also he's probably their deep I'd say Romeo Doubs is number one, Jaden Reed's number two, and Dante Van Wicks is number three. So he's definitely one of their top receivers, and they need him more on offense, so they don't want to risk injury on a punt return. So I think McCole Hardman offers punt returns, and then he also offers kick returns because Keyshawn Nixon has come out and said he does not want to return kicks anymore. And I believe him. And so I think McCole Hardman does offer his return ability, and I think that is more important than anything. And if he can be a decent receiver, good on him. That's great. I just really don't see that happening as a receiver standpoint, but I think he definitely provides great options as a returner. Now we go into the re-signings. So the Packers re-signed Isaiah McDuffie to a 2-year, $8 million deal. In 2021, he had 2 tackles. In 2022, he had 43 tackles. In 2023, he had 86 tackles. And in 2024, he had 57 tackles. So, on Isaiah McDuffie, he provides absolutely nothing in coverage. He is absolutely terrible in coverage. But he is a fairly decent run stopper and a halfway decent linebacker. Overall, this is just insurance. 2-year, $8 million deal. $4 million a year is a bit expensive, but not the end of the world for a backup because they're basically relying on him. If Quay Walker or Edrin Cooper get injured, he's stepping in, and hopefully it won't be too bad. This does concern me a little bit about Tyrone Hopper. If the Packers felt like they need to spend this much money on Isaiah McDuffie to be a backup, does that mean they believe Tyrone Hopper is that bad? Because you have to think about it. There was a time where both Quay Walker and Edrin Cooper were both injured, and Tyrone Hopper basically didn't see the field. It was Isaiah McDuffie and Eric Wilson playing as the starting linebackers. So, in terms of like an insurance policy, I think this is fine because, again, Quay Walker, Edrin Cooper, you do have to worry about injury issues. But the biggest tell to me that concerns me is Tyrone Hopper. What happens to him? Is he just a wasted third-round pick? Was he a bad pick? The Packers are also known for not wanting to play their rookies and force them into uncomfortable situations, because even Edrin Cooper, he had a lot of games where he had very limited snaps, even though he's very good, and that's because the Packers are against playing the rookies. But again, does this mean much? Probably not. This is just injury insurance in case something happens to Quay Walker or Edrin Cooper. And the next one is Brandon McManus. They signed him to a 3-year, $15.3 million deal. To me, this is the biggest, most important free agent signing or re-signing they could do. Kicker has been the biggest issue for the Packers for the past 2 years. Well, I guess a year and a half. Because they have not found a good kicker. And every single time they saw their kicker going out and kicking field goals and kicking extra points, Packers fans got a little bit scared, saying, we don't know if he's going to make it. Is $5.1 million a year too much for a kicker? Yes, it's overpaying him. But at this point, give him whatever he wants because it's such a big problem that has cost the Packers so many games. So I just figured we'd compare him to. So Brandon McManus, he went 20 for 21 on field goals, a 95.2% percentage, and then he went 30 for 30 on extra points, 100% of his extra points made. And then let's compare that to their other kickers. Braden Narvison, on field goals, he went 12 for 17, which is a 70.6% makeage percentage. But he did go 16 for 16 on extra points, which is 100%. And then Anders Carlson, on field goals, he went 27 for 33, 81.8% field goal percentage. And on extra points, he went 34 for 39, which is an 87.2%. So in total, Brandon McManus had made 95% of his field goals and 100% of his extra points. In total, Brandon Narvison and Anders Carlson made 78% of their field goals and 90% of their extra points. So I would definitely pay Brandon McManus whatever he wants to help increase your extra point percentage by 10% and then your field goal percentage by 17%. Because, again, a lot of these field goals cost the Packers points and cost the Packers games. So having a competent kicker is kind of the lost form of the NFL. So again, I think this is the biggest impact the Packers could make, and definitely the most important one. So give him whatever money he wants. So now we're going into the tendered players. Packers tendered Daniel Whelan, their punter, really solid punter, really good. Happy to have him back. That's kind of all I'll say. He's a punter, really good. They tendered Zane Anderson, which is fine. They kind of have their safeties locked up with Evan Williams, Xavier McKinney, and Javon Bullard. So Zane Anderson, he'll have to compete with Oladapo and potentially some drafted guys to make the team at safety. But he did have to start 1 or 2 games. I think he started 2 games. And honestly, in those when I believe Javon Bullard and Evan Williams both got injured, and he wasn't noticeably bad, which is it's pretty good for a fourth string safety. So again, like when he was on the field, it wasn't amazing play, but he wasn't terrible either, and that's kind of all you want. So I do think he definitely has a good chance of making the team. So happy to have him back. They also tendered Emmanuel Wilson. Him making the team is going to be a little bit tougher because you have Josh Jacobs locked in as your. Most teams have 3 to 4 running backs. You clearly have Josh Jacobs locked in as your running back 1. And then you have Marshawn Lloyd clearly locked in as your running back 2. And then for your running back 3, it's basically going to be fought over 3 people: Emmanuel Wilson, Chris Brooks, and probably a drafted guy. Because, a lot of teams like to take flyers on running backs towards the end of the draft. So, will he make the team? I don't know. It's going to be tough because towards the end of the season, I think Emmanuel Wilson is still a good running back, and he's still highly impressive. And honestly, I like him way better than Chris Brooks. But Emmanuel Wilson does struggle in terms of receiving ability, so Chris Brooks started to steal a lot of his snaps because he is a better receiver than Emmanuel Wilson. So it's going to be tough for him to make the team. We'll see what he can do. It's kind of about that. And then they tendered Kadeem Tolfert. He's a big guy. He only played a little bit this season, and that was in the playoff game, and he struggled mightily. Granted, it was against the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line, which is insanely good and insanely dominant, but the only tape we really have of him is him playing bad. And so he'll compete for a roster spot. He is a big guy. He has a, good big body shape, but other than that, not much I can say. Just we'll see if he makes the team, but just poor performance. Again, great defensive line by the Eagles, but very poor performance on his key moment. And then they tendered Bo Melton. I really like Bo Melton. I definitely think he's going to get a shot for this team, especially since Christian Watson's out, but he really hasn't proved a lot yet. He's had a couple of really, really great games, and I'm happy to have him compete for the team because basically how it is there's going to be 5 to 6 wide receiver spots. One's going to get taken by Dontavian Wicks. One's going to take in Jaden Reed. One's taken by Romeo Doubs. So it'll be, I assume the Packers are probably going to draft a guy or 2, and then it's going to, so let's just say 2 Packers draftees, Bo Melton, and why am I blanking on his name? The undrafted guy. Oh my God, Malik Heath. Malik Heath. That's it. So it's basically gonna be and McCole Hardman. So it's gonna be probably 5 guys fighting over 3 spots, and it's gonna be tough. Bo Melton, again, I really like him. It's just that this is how I feel: is he's kind of like a lesser Jaden Reed. And so if Jaden Reed ever gets injured, I think he's very good into filling that role. It's just that Jaden Reed doesn't get injured that often, and he doesn't have that opportunity to fill the role. So we'll see if Bo Melton can make the team. Happy to have him back because I do like him. I think he is a good player, but it's going to be tough for him. And then they tendered Aaron Mosby. This one I really like because even though he hasn't shown a lot, he has shown at least quite a bit of potential. You definitely can tell he is a hard worker that gives like 100% effort on every play. But and also the D line very open for competition because the Packers defensive line just hasn't been playing that good. So Aaron Mosby, I really like him. Of all the tendered players, I'd rank probably like in terms of my like happiness, Daniel Whelan number 1, Aaron Mosby number 2, and then probably like Zane Anderson number 3. I think those are the best tendered guys for the Packers, who I think can make the biggest impact. And then next, we're going to talk about the guys the Packers lost. So the Packers lost T.J. Slayton. He signed with the Bengals for a 2-year, $15 million deal. He is a really good run stuffer, doesn't provide much in pass rush, and I I feel like it's a little bit of an overpay because he's not an every down guy, and so I can see why the Packers chose not to do this. I wouldn't have paid him this much, and so we're sad to see him go, but overall, just good for him getting paid by the Bengals, and we wish him the best of luck. Next, we have Eric Stokes, who signed with the Raiders for a 1-year, $4 million deal. This is an overpay for Eric Stokes. I get it, former first round pick, but he's just not good anymore. He had a good rookie season, then he got injured, and he's just been terrible ever since, to the point where I don't even think he's worthy of an NFL roster spot. Maybe he can new scenery, he can change his career around, but I think this is one where the Packers are just fine of seeing him go because he has just been absolutely terrible for the Packers and hasn't played well at all whatsoever since returning from his injury. And like I said, I can't explain why the Raiders gave him this much. Definitely an overpay, and so that is one where the Packers aren't gonna miss him too much. Next is AJ Dillon. He signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles. I definitely think the Eagles are the best team for AJ Dillon. They have an amazing offensive line where, to the point where, like, Saquon Barkley, I get it, great running back, definitely deserves a lot of credit, but almost any running back has looked good behind that offensive line. AQ Shipley looked good. Kenneth Gainwell looked good. DeAndre Swift looked good. Miles Sanders looked good. So if there was a team that would be good for AJ Dillon, I say this is it. The issue is just the injuries. I don't know if he will make the Eagles or not, but I do think he can still be a decent player, and the Eagles give him the best opportunity to do so. But it just makes sense for the Packers to move on because they have their starting 2 running backs in Marshawn Lloyd Josh Jacobs as their number 1 and Marshawn Lloyd is their number 2. And then at that point, you just want to go younger and try to see if you can find a diamond in the rough in the draft. And given his age and injury history, it just makes sense that the Packers moved on from AJ Dillon. Next is Josh Myers, who signed with the Jets for a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. Again, the Jets stealing Packers players. This one actually kind of surprised me because I thought he would have gotten a much bigger deal in the market because he is a 4-year starter. I think he's a below average 4-year starter, but he is a 4-year starter. And, so this, I don't know what the Packers offered him, if the Packers offered him anything, but this just tells me they wanted to get rid of him. Plain and simple. They just didn't like him anymore, and they did not want him. I don't know. This could have been him if he just didn't want to stay with the Packers, because it could have been a mutual thing. But I'm kind of surprised if, like, let's just say a 1-year $4 million or 1-year $5 million deal, if the Packers wouldn't offer that to continue having their starting center. But overall, he's just, again, he had his moments where he'd struggle a lot, and I do think he is a below average starter, but he is still a starter. So this one was a little bit surprising to me on how cheap of a deal he was, but again, I think the Packers are just ready to move on, and they want to try to bolster their offensive line, and they just definitely don't see him in their future. Next is Eric Wilson, who signed a 1-year deal with the Vikings. Um, this one kind of also made sense because think about linebackers. Most teams have like 4 to 5, and you have to think about this. Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper are locked in, 2 starters. They're not going anywhere. Tyrone Hopper, 3rd-round pick last year, not going anywhere. Isaiah McDuffie just signed a new 2-year, $8 million contract. He's not going anywhere. So maybe you have room for one more spot, and they probably just want to go younger. Eric Wilson is a really great special teams player. I don't think he provides much on defense, though, and that's kind of his issue. It's going to suck losing him because of how good of a special teams player he is. But the Packers are hoping, hey, maybe we can find another Eric Wilson who's a really good special teams player in the draft, or on maybe an undrafted free agent. Because he doesn't provide a lot on defense, it's again just sucks losing him on special teams because he was that good on special teams. But they're just trying to say, hey, he's old, so maybe we can find a younger guy who's good on special teams and can maybe provide a little bit on defense. And it makes sense for Eric Wilson because I assume he probably wants to play quite a bit, and all the linebacker spots are kind of locked up for the Packers. So who knows if he would have even made the roster or not. Next is Corey Ballantyne, who signed a 1 year deal with the Colts. This one was a little bit surprising to me. Because we don't know what's going on with Jair Alexander, the Packers don't really have that many corners, so I don't know how much money the Colts offered him, but I would actually wouldn't mind see Corey Ballantyne back because he has shown that he is even though he's not an amazing starter, he has shown that he can fill in and be a backup. And so, given the Packers corner situation being so terrible that it is, I wouldn't mind Corey Ballantyne back. This is the one that kind of hurts a little bit, like the most, where I think there is a spot for him on this team, and I definitely think he can contribute. But clearly, the Packers saw something else that they want to go with, and good luck to him for the Colts. I don't think he is one of those guys where like he's going to be a game changer starter, but I do think he's one of those guys where if your starter gets injured, you're not going to get discernibly worse. He is a below average starter, and I think this is the one that is not that great for the Packers. And then finally, Robert Rochelle signed a 1 year deal with the Chiefs. He only played in a couple of games for the Packers. I didn't really do much. This one, he's a backup. I don't think this really means much for the Packers losing him. So those are my thoughts on the Packers offseason so far. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button like it owes you money. And I'll see you on the next one.